Hey Kotaku, this is Stephen Totillo and greetings from sun-splashed Istanbul. I'm on my vacation, but I'm taking a little bit of a break to show you some of the sites I think are going to be in the next Assassin's Creed Revelations, which is set in Istanbul. A little bit before now though. We're in the year 2011 when they have huge cruise liners like this. The game was set in the 16th century. And I don't know if all the sites you see here are going to be featured in the game, but that's the Galata Tower there in the distance on the European side of Istanbul. And if you don't know, yes, European side, because this is a city that is divided by the Bosphorus Strait, which we are sailing through right now, into its European side, one side of that bridge, and its Asian side on the other side. This Bosphorus Strait connects the Black Sea to the north and the Sea of Marmara to the south. We're now back actually looking at the old city, the European side, and some sites that you're going to get a closer look at later. The Hagia Sophia is there. The Topkapi Palace. These are all sites that you're going to see very close together, and I think as long as they fit the time period, it would be fantastic to be included in Revelations. Hopefully they will be. One more last look at the Galata Tower, and I'll give you a closer up look in the following videos.
Here you just got a glimpse of Ezio's last stand against the Templars in Constantinople. Assassin's Creed Revelations is the final chapter in Ezio's trilogy that will bring his and Altair's stories to a close.
We're now in the old city, Sultanahmet, in the European side, and you're looking at the Hagia Sophia. So you saw this from afar, from the boat. Just zoom in on some of the detail. This building was not in its current state when there first was a Hagia Sophia, because that was all the way back in, I think, the 400s when it was a church. It was destroyed a couple times by fires, and then during the, after the Ottoman conquest, it became a mosque. And various parts of it were constructed, as you see here. I don't think all the minarets would have been there by the time of Assassin's Creed Revelations in the 1500s, but some pieces of this were, and I would expect this to be in the game. Now, one of the striking things that I showed from the water of the old city is that there are a lot of other sites around. So there are the Basilica Cisterns not too far from here. We'll see those in a little bit. And then also you can't help but see over here this amazing, wonderful blue mosque. And this I would not expect to be in the game because it was created in, I believe, the 1600s. A little bit after the time of Assassin's Creed Revelations. Let's get a closer look at some of these places. We are just outside the Hagia Sophia, and before we go in, I want to just ask you one question, viewers. What would Ezio do? What indeed? One caveat though, Hagia Sophia has been constantly destroyed and reconstructed, and according to the audio tour that we paid 10 Turkish lira to listen to, these minarets that you see were not all constructed, I think, at the time of Assassin's Creed Revelations. So you may be climbing some of this in November, and some of it you may not, so plan your routes accordingly. We're now in the Hagia Sophia, and we're facing the opposite direction that we were facing in the video before. We were outside. This is the Emperor's door, and you see all the emperors coming through, aka tourists. And this is an incredibly impressive building that I think I may have already mentioned had been a church and then was converted into a mosque after the Muslim conquest of Constantinople. And I think you'll be able to say that, yeah, this is a pretty good setting, or a pretty good building to have an Assassin's Creed probably, at least partially, take place in. Now, a few things to call out. You may see there's angels at the top. Yeah, those are angels. Can you make that out? Here, let's move in for you. There is Christian iconography like this throughout. I don't know if you're going to be able to make it out, but the Virgin Mary is up there. And that's some of the vestiges of when this was a church. And I'm sure you've noticed these large plates. They say in the audio guide that they're the largest plates in the world, and they have names of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad, and other important names in Islam on them. They actually probably won't be in the game because they say they weren't added until, I think, the 19th century. There's been many restorations of the Hagia Sophia. And I'm probably getting you a bit dizzy as we go around, but let's just take one more look at the grandeur of this building, which again, if we're thinking about this in terms of an Assassin's Creed, plenty of altitude to climb. I think it's something like 55 meters. They talk metric here in Turkey, so take out your slider wheel and figure out how many feet that is. 55 meters to the top of the dome, all the way up there. And that's the inside of the Hagia Sophia in what is now Istanbul. There's more than one amazing Assassin's Creed quality site around here. That's the next one, or another one, the Blue Mosque. We are in the courtyard for the Blue Mosque. Alright, I'm speaking softly for this one. We are in an extraordinarily beautiful building, the Blue Mosque. And again, one of the most striking pieces of architecture in Istanbul. Let me show you higher. I've got another site to show you. We're in the Basilica Cisterns, which is only about a 90-second walk away from the Hagia Sophia. And what hopefully you can see is that not only are we underground, not only do we have this amazing sprawl of columns, but there's actually water down there and fish. I doubt you can see the fish here. And I'm just going to take you through a tiny little bit of it. We're looking back towards the entrance. I'm probably about halfway into the depth of what they allow people to go to. And I just wanted you to see just how cool it looks. They've added some lighting that obviously wasn't here back in, I think it was about the 6th century when, yeah, 6th century when they, I guess, set this all up. But yes, we're about halfway into the depths here. It would be a pretty cool place for Ezio to go climbing, swimming, hopping all around in, and back behind me, probably about the same distance as you can see forward, are supposed to be some interesting sculptures of Medusa's head. We're going to go check those out as well. And here in the far end of the Basilica Cisterns, you're going to see a lot of flash going up. It's one of the 2 Medusa heads in here, and this one is upside down. They say probably intentionally. Oh, actually, they say definitely intentionally, but yeah, deep in the corner here, pretty cool little element. We're in Topkapi Palace, or at least the grounds of it, and you're looking at the harem, which I wouldn't have thought the harem was a major site worth visiting. That's the entryway to the rest of the palace. We were able to see things like the Prophet Muhammad's footprint, his sword, Moses' staff. But this is an interesting attraction that you're about to see some video inside of. The Sultan's Harem, which looked like it was built, a large part of it was built during the time of Assassin's Creed Revelations, the 16th century, and just absolutely gorgeous rooms inside. I'll show you a look inside. They wouldn't let us talk in there. You might hear other people, but I don't talk in there. You'll see in a second. We are now in the new city across the water, still in Istanbul, and this is the Galata Tower, and it's a plaque on it that says 1453, so I'm assuming this was around at the time of Assassin's Creed Revelations, and if so, I would say we should be climbing this in the game. We've got a nice climbable tower, and just about missed it, but there's all kinds of birds up there flying around. Let's say we should go right up there, right? Scan around, and then dive down into some bale of hay, but there's no bales of hay to be seen, but we'll see if Galata Tower shows up in Assassin's Creed Revelations.